Good morning everyone. Welcome back to the channel. In this video lecture, I'll accumulate all the concepts of week 3 and 4. Also will explain the process, that is how to solve week 4 graded assignment. As I've accentuated the fact earlier also that everyone is provided with different set of question paper, and in practical it's not possible to solve each set separately. Also, I'll advise you not to copy paste the answer, because ultimately you have to face qualifier exam on 16 October. The similar pattern of question you will see there also, and I don't want you to regret. You must be aware with the correct answer, and knowing the process by which you get to that answer is equally important. Data set may vary, and I have taken this data. I suppose you are able to see the values. The value may differ, but the process, pattern and questions are same. You would be asked to find population standard deviation, or the standard deviation, like the correlation kind of thing, then the coefficient between the two variables, etc, etc. Please excuse me for the audio and video quality. So there are some formulas that we will be required in order to calculate the following, whatever it is being asked. The PDF of all formula is there in the Telegram group also. Here the sample standard deviation Sx is equal to root under summation of I is equal to 1 raised to n xi minus x bar whole square upon n minus 1. The similar we have the formula for population standard deviation. We are having for covariance of sample, then population covariance. We have the formula for correlation, then it's covariance, etc, etc. You can see that covariance has a unit, but correlation is a unitless quantity. This r square ranges from this and this. Let me correct it. It is not exactly called coefficient, correlation coefficient. I mean, it's goodness of measure. This is another thing. We'll come to it later. So for now, I will think that you guys are aware with these kind of formulas. So what are we asked basically in the question? It's how to calculate, find the population of standard deviation. I have calculated all the things beforehand just to save the time, otherwise the video will be too long. Here I am having 7 observation. I have used abbreviation for like C is for Chennai, P is for Punjab, again C for Chennai, like this. Okay. Now I used x in place of 1 plus just to denote it, and I'm having the variables. Then I used y for BBK electronics, having the data set. The next step is to calculate xi minus x bar. Now what is this x bar? X bar is nothing but the mean for 1 plus, as I have used x as 1 plus, so it's the mean of 1 plus. Now what do we mean by mean? Let me calculate it. X bar, that is mean, it is equal to sum of all observation divided by total number of observation. Like in my case, I am having total number of observation as 7. You may have 8 or 4 or 12 number of observation, but I am having, so I'll calculate it. The sum is, it's 10, 20, 24, 4, it will be 24 divided by 7. Okay, so we will divide 24 upon 7 in order to get the mean for 1 plus. It's 24 divided by 7, and this will be result as I have calculated it using calculator. So next what we will do, we will find the mean for BK electronics, that is y bar. So y bar will be the sum of individual at 15 plus 10, 17, 12, 16, 10, 13, and divided by 7, as I have 7 number of observations. So I will sum it and divide by the total number of observation. Then we will get x bar and the y bar, which is the mean of 1 plus and BBK electronics respectively. Now coming back to our sheet once again. We have calculated x bar, we have y bar. Now the next step is to find xi minus x bar. What is this xi? Xi is nothing but it denotes the number of observation. Like for the first observation, I am having 4 as the value of x. So x4, that is 4 minus x bar, which is the mean, and I'm having the mean, it's 3.428571. So we'll do subtraction and we'll get that as a result. Now you will say that is it necessary to write this much long value? Then of course not. You can correct it to either 2 or 3 decimal places. It's up to you. The result will be not affected by this. Now the second thing, we are having 5. So what we will do in the second step, that is 5 minus x bar. We are having the value of x bar with us, so we'll just do the subtraction and get the result. 1 minus x bar, 2 minus x bar, again 3 minus x bar, 6, sorry, it's 5 minus x bar, then 4 minus x bar, will get the result. Again we are having y, we will find yi minus y bar. We have 15 minus y bar, 10 minus y bar, 17 minus y bar. Similarly, as you can see, we'll get 10 minus this, then 13 minus y bar, will get the result. One important thing that is to note down is when we do summation of these terms, when we do the summation of all xi minus x bar, we'll get 0 as the result. Similarly, when we do the summation of yi minus y bar, we'll again get 0. That is, when we will try to add all the terms of xi minus x bar, will get 0. Next step is to find xi minus x bar whole square. We are having xi minus x. For the first one, we can see it's 0.57148, whatever it is written. So we just have to do the square. What square means? Just we have to multiply the same term with itself. When term is multiplied with itself, it becomes the square. So we just have to multiply it, or we can do the square directly, whatever it is. So we'll get this as the result. Similarly, we'll do the square of this, and we'll get the result. We will note down the result in each step. As we have calculated xi minus x bar whole square, we will add all the things together. When we will add all the things together, it will not result in 0, because in the earlier slide xi minus x bar we were getting negative values, but here all the values will be positive as it is the square. So we are having, when we added all the things together, we get this. Next, similarly, we can find yi minus y bar whole square. Here, as we are having the values of yi minus y bar, we just have to do the square of the terms and then add it together. When we added, as I told you that I have calculated all the things earlier, so I am having this as the result. The next step is to find xi minus x bar multiplied by yi minus y bar. So again we are having xi minus x bar. We know how to calculate xi minus x bar. We have calculated even yi minus y bar. So we just have to multiply them using calculator. Don't worry, in the examination also you will be repeated with calculator. So we will again add all the terms, whatever the answer will be. So as I'm getting here negative value, negative answer. So these are the things that we have calculated so far. Now coming back to the actual question, which you might be asked, like, let's come back to the slide again. I hope that the screen is visible to you guys. So we were having our actual question was to find the population standard deviation for 1 plus. So we know the formula for population standard deviation. We will just note down the formula for population standard deviation. Let's denote it with px. It will be root under summation of I equal to 1 to the power n xi minus x bar whole square divided by n. So as we are calculating population standard deviation, so we will write n, where n stand for number of observation. In our case it was 7. I have also shared you the formula sheet where we were having the population standard deviation, formula for population standard deviation. So you can take a look. Now coming back again, we have calculated xi minus x bar whole square. This was xi minus x bar whole square for every observation. Then we added all the things together. When we added all the things together, we got some result which is 13.71428571. Let me note it down. So this was our result so far, and we have to write the number of observation. N stand for number of observation. In our case it is 7. We have 7 number of observation. So we will, yeah, it's 7. We'll just write 7 in the downward section. We'll divide it first, whatever the answer will be. I don't remember what exactly it was, and I'm unable to find the calculator. I'm having a single phone and that is also plugged there. So I don't remember exactly, but it was coming out to be 1 point something something. Let it be under root that. So first thing you have to do is to divide these both term, 13.7142857 divided upon 7. Whatever the result will be, just do the under root of that. Just calculate the under root of that term. You'll get to the you will eventually get to the answer. Now the question may be, this was for the population standard deviation. The question may be for sample standard deviation. In sample standard deviation, in place of n, you are supposed to write n minus 1. This is the actual value of population standard deviation I had calculated earlier. You can correct it to the 2 decimal places, 1.39. You can write it like this also. Now coming to the second question, we have to find sample standard deviation for 1 plus. Okay, so x6 is x is equal to under root summation I equal to 1 n xi minus x bar whole square. Okay, so this is for BK electronics. So instead of writing Sx, we will write Sy, and instead of taking Xi, we will take Yi, as we have used Y for BK. So here it will be Yi minus n minus 1. N stand for number of observation. For all n is equal to number of observation. Now we have the value of Yi minus y bar whole square. F, you can take a look. We are having the value of Yi minus y bar. I had did the submission earlier also, so it's coming out to be 47.42857143 divided by 6, as we have 7 number of observations, so 7 minus 1 6. Now what we will do, we will first divide this term. Once we are done with that, we'll find the under root of it and we'll get our answer. I had calculated it earlier and the answer was coming out to be, let me check, 2.81154. Okay, so we can correct it to decimal places. We can write it as 2.81 even. So we got the result. The third step is to the third question is to find sample covariance. So the we know the formula for sample covariance. It is xi minus x bar times yi minus y bar divided by n, no, not n minus 1, where n is the number of observation. So we did the submission earlier. We are having the value, it's negative, it's minus 17.8571426 4286 divided by n minus 1, which is 6. So we will get a negative result, as the negative term is here. So we'll get negative result. Instead of having sample covariance, if we were supposed to find population covariance, the only difference would be there in the denominator section. Population covariance, the numerator remains same, that is say x minus xi minus x bar, y I minus y bar, and instead of writing n minus 1 we will write n, that is the actual number of observation. Suppose if we were asked to find correlation, so we also know the formula for correlation coefficient, and it is equal to covariance x and sx. That's right. Here this covariance is the sample covariance. It's not population, it's sample covariance, and this is the sample standard deviation for x and y respectively. That is for OPPO and BK enterprises. We have to write here, we have to take the values of sample standard deviation and sample covariance. We just have to put the values using the calculator exactly. We want to expand it further, we can write it like this: n minus 1, which will give the sample covariance for x, y. Then we know the formula of sample standard deviation for Sx and then for Sy. Likewise, we can calculate the correlation coefficient also. Correlation coefficient, I hope that all these data set or whatever is being written here is visible to you. So I have calculated all the values. If the data set matches, then just note down the values. This sample standard deviation, sample, then the covariance, the value for covariance. Now we will find the correlation coefficient. Correlation coefficient, which is equal to sample covariance divided by sample standard deviation for x and y respectively, and we have already calculated sample covariance. The value is here. Sample standard deviation for x is this, multiplied sample standard deviation for y we have calculated, and using the calculator we can find the answer. The result will be negative. So if the data set which I shown, if it matches with your, then this will be the answer for sample standard deviation, population standard deviation, population covariance, sample covariance, etc. Just note down the result and don't worry, the calculator will be there. So in this video we learn how to calculate these things using pen and paper, like doing mathematical calculation and those kind of stuff, but you can do or you can calculate these things with much ease without involving into calculation exactly. So using the Google sheet, which